Hello everyone, Zelrant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be talking about the next upcoming Uma and kind of take a look at her aptitudes, her skills, what I think kind of her skills, as well as what the reference document shows in terms of where her value is overall, if she is one of the Umas that you're looking to pull on for here. And so let's just kind of get right into it. So we have Curren here. Here's kind of what she looks like. And we got her base stats here. And then the biggest things is the stat bonuses. One really big thing I like is she is speed and power. And so that's going to allow you to be probably a little bit lighter on terms of how many speed cards you may need, because you can just keep hitting speed here. You're not going to even need the touch power, and that's the general goal when it comes to Umas, is at least my tactic has been, in a lot of cases, just speed and stamina with wit when needed. And that's generally gotten me good stats on there, so I really like the balance here. And then when it comes to aptitudes, one of the things I see with her is she is very specific to what she is good at. So she's turf runner that does short and pace. Now she can be made into a front runner, but when you kind of look at her unique skill here, it really seems like she needs to lean into being a pace runner. You can also convert her to being good at mile if you have the right sparks on there. And so she could be a mile runner, but she's definitely targeting that short race when it comes to her as an Uma. We got our unique skill here. Look at Curren. I don't know what it's going to be called when it's translated. But this one is gaining momentum and begin to advance when passing another runner while well positioned around the halfway through the race. And so what I kind of think on this one, and I kind of looking at the reference document on it, this one's more of a gamble one. Now you'll need the wit to activate it as well. But it has a base duration of 5 seconds. She gets a 25% increase to speed and a 30% to acceleration, so it's really, really good. But one of the main things of when you're wanting this to activate is going to be in that last spurt. I mean, if you've played enough races at this point, you know when you see someone that takes off at the very end, especially as a pace runner, they can just blast by your runners. But if you're doing it, this one specifically mentioned well-positioned around halfway through the race versus the very end. And the very end is where it's the most important. Now, luckily, she's a short. She does short, so halfway is going to be also close to the end as well. And so it is kind of a gamble there on that one, but very strong from what I can tell here at 25% and 30%. But it has to hit there. Then when you look at her innate skills here, ramp up, slightly increased velocity when passing another runner mid-race. That's always pretty good, just getting that little increase there. Although she has a good chunk of debuff skills here, or if you're looking like if you're building a debuffer. One thing that I've seen and is talking with other people, a lot of these, anything that deals with narrowing the field of view seems to be effectively fairly useless in terms of building a debuffer. You're wanting the things that like slow them down, drain their stamina on like long ones. But when you're doing shorts, it seems like they're going to have a lot less value. So a lot of this is not as useful to her in that aspect. So nothing too crazy on her skills here. But another big thing too is if you're one of those ones that are looking to build Umas for Champions meetings, so this is one thing when I'm looking at the ones coming up, is also when's like the first Champions meeting or some Champions meetings that they're going to do well in. And this is if we're following the Japan version to the T. We haven't seen any confirmation that we're going to follow Champions meeting from Japan exactly. But if we do, this will be a good way to kind of tell when are you going to actually be able to use her in Champions meeting. And so you can see here, the first one we're going to have coming up is the Taurus Cup, which is a medium counterclockwise good spring sunny. She's a sprinter, so all these other ones don't really matter other than the distance here. She's definitely not a medium runner. The second one after that, which these are about a month apart. And so the Taurus Cup, if we kind of compare this to when we are expecting to get the support cards and that around this is going to be about 3 weeks away if they release it on the same scheduling alongside the same support cards and all that. So just know this is about 3 weeks away, and then it's about a month in between each of them. Now with our acceleration, are these going to be accelerated as well? I have no idea. But this is just to kind of get an idea. And in future guides, when we do get an idea, I'll be able to be more definitive on this. But it's basically you have medium, then a long, then a mile, which you can make her a mile runner, as she was a D, although it's going to be some work to do that. Medium, mile, long, medium, long, and then a sprint. And so as you can see, The first one was in May, and they didn't have their first sprint until January. So you're looking at, with our acceleration, like 4 to 5 months away before you can have a champions meeting where she's going to be exceptional in it. But that's quite fine, because maybe you're not too worried about champions meeting. How does she perform in team trials is another thing you might want to look at in your Umas, which is not only is winning important, because better placement gives you more points, but activating your skills more consistently is also important when you look at her skills here. And actually the reference guide here, which kind of gives you a breakdown of every single Uma, actually talks quite well on her for that. She's a gambling type in that it just depends on where it hits when it comes to winning, but it is consistent to a certain extent. But basically here they're mentioning if it triggers late enough so that she's in the last spurt, it's pretty strong. But if it's not, then it doesn't matter as a pace runner if she spurts in the middle of the race versus the very end. But that's just talking about champions meeting. And then they kind of give a guess on here. She's probably good in stadium because her golds are consistent ones that'll trigger most of the time. And that's what's important in stadium. Because even if you have bad placement, if they trigger a lot of skills, you can still get a ton of points. That's why if you haven't really paid attention to it when you do your team trials, like one time your team may get like 60 or 50,000 points, and then another time they might get 100, 120,000. It's because of all the skill activations. So more consistency, which she has on those activations, will make her good at getting points, even if she's not always winning them. So overall good for team trials there. Now, when you kind of compare her, so the other thing you want to kind of look at is what will be coming out around when she does. Because, as you all know, while we are getting currency in, we're not getting enough to be like pulling in every single banner as they're coming out, unless you're a heavier spender. And so when we look at kind of comparing her to the upcoming ones as well, for those that want to see others, so we have currently the collab ones out now, Curren-chan. We have Narita Taishin, who's one, actually, right after, is one that I'm slowly being convinced to pull for. Primarily because of her, this one right here, Encroaching Shadow, which we'll get into that. But this one's coming out, and she's a medium long, but she's an end runner. So, she's the one that comes all the way to the back to the front to win in the end with a massive sprint. And then she can do medium and long, which is good. You can make her good for mile if you're wanting to do that. Now, she's definitely going to be your strongest in medium and long. Overall, good. Overall has good uniques. We're not going to go everything in here. I'll do more in depth on her when she comes out. But she's a very strong Uma coming up. And then you also have, after that, a couple others that are notable. You have Smart Falcon, a big dirt unit. You have Narita, which is kind of your general unit. She's one I really like the idea of getting as well. I mean, I just like the fact that she's a triple crown horse. Has a good ultimate. There's another medium long pace late runner there. And I hate that it goes all the way back to the top here. After that, you have a couple more. From what I've seen, Mayano Top Gun is a good parent. Sayun Sky, though, is probably the best one on this group as parent. Still relevant today with her ult for front runners, which is crazy good. So, and just knowing how much currency we're getting in, you're really having to take into consideration banners this far out when it comes to pulling, because you pull here and you have to go, if you have like 200 pulls for some reason still after Kita-san Black, I don't know who should at this point, especially if you're free to play, then you just have to really think about this far out, because it's going to take you some time to recover those funds. But you go up to here, and the next one big after that is Summer Mruzinski at that point. So that's kind of the Umas that are around her when it comes to that. When it comes to the support cards, like we've already talked about, you have the Super Creek one, but that one's kind of bait for free to play, so I wouldn't worry about it. You have actually quite a while till you have to worry about another big support card banner to pull on, which is going to be the Nice Nature one, which is way up here as well. I think it's right after Summer Mruzinski, so it'll be around this time frame. And so you have time on that. So in my opinion, for most people at this point, especially if you haven't pulled on Umas, like myself, it is time to start looking. So if you are looking for that short burst runner, Curren-chan is pretty good for that. But you have other options. Smart Falcon probably being the competitor to her in that aspect. as she can do short as well in front, but she's dirt. But with people like me building dirt 7-star dirt Umas that are fairly good, you could convert her to turf as well, although you have better options than her when it comes to that. So just know you have other options there. But Curren overall very good. If she is one of your favorites, not going to be a bad choice to pick up. Just know she's not very general. She's going to be your sprinter, and that's going to be her main focus. But that's it for now. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And also, if there's any more in-depth or stuff you want me to look at when it comes to upcoming Umas, let me know, and I'll try and adjust this as I cover new ones as they come out. This is my first attempt at covering an Uma coming out, on my thoughts on them. And I hopefully will improve as time goes on and I get better and better at this game. But that's it for now. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.